Richard Caldwell's hands were shaking as he read the email on his phone. His face went from confident to pale in about 3 seconds. "She can't do this. The non-compete—" His lawyer interrupted him. "Actually, Mr. Caldwell, she can. You terminated her employment. That voided the non-compete clause. And Green Industries just became her client, not yours." Richard had laughed in my face 2 months earlier when I handed him my resignation. Told me I'd never work in consulting again. Told me I was making the biggest mistake of my career. He was wrong. And the $8 million contract I just signed with his largest client proved it. My name is Diana Foster. I'm 38 years old, divorced, and raising 2 kids, Emma, who's 12, and Lucas, who's 9. For 14 years, I worked as a senior strategy consultant at Premier Consulting Partners in Seattle. I was good at my job, better than good. I'd brought in over $40 million in client revenue over my career. I specialized in operational transformation, taking struggling companies and making them profitable again. My clients loved me because I delivered results. I didn't sell them pretty PowerPoint decks. I gave them actual, measurable change. But there was a problem. His name was Richard Caldwell. Richard became our CFO 3 years ago. 52 years old, Harvard MBA, and an ego that could barely fit through doorways. He came from private equity, where apparently treating people like disposable assets was considered a virtue. His philosophy was simple: maximize profit, minimize cost. And consultants like me? We were costs. Within 6 months of Richard arriving, things changed at Premier. The collaborative culture disappeared. The focus shifted from client outcomes to billing hours. Quality didn't matter, only revenue. I started clashing with Richard almost immediately. The first major fight happened over the Green Industries account. Thomas Green was the CEO of a mid-sized manufacturing company that was hemorrhaging money. He'd hired us for a 6-month engagement to turn things around. I spent 3 months embedded with his team. I analyzed every process, interviewed every department head, found the inefficiencies bleeding them dry. Then I built a comprehensive restructuring plan. It was working. Within 4 months, Green Industries cut costs by 30% while actually improving output. Thomas was thrilled. Then Richard got involved. He looked at my proposal for the final 2 months, implementing the long-term sustainability measures, and cut it. "Diana, we've solved their immediate problem. Time to move on to the next client." "Richard, the immediate problem is solved, but without the sustainability phase, they'll slide back within a year. That's the whole point of transformation consulting." "The point is billing hours. We bill, they pay, we move on. That's the business model. Standing ground, principled. That's a terrible business model. We're supposed to create lasting value." Condescending smile. He smiled that condescending smile I'd grown to hate. "Diana, you're thinking like a consultant. I need you to think like a business person. We maximize revenue per engagement. Green's budget is almost exhausted. Time to find the next client." I went to Thomas directly and explained the situation. He was furious, not at me, at Richard. "Diana, your work saved my company. If Richard won't let you finish, then I'll find someone who will." "I'm under contract, Thomas. I can't work for you independently while I'm employed here." "Then quit." I couldn't. I had 2 kids, a mortgage, and I'd signed a non-compete agreement that would prevent me from consulting independently in Washington for 2 years. But that conversation planted a seed. Over the next year, Richard and I clashed repeatedly. He wanted maximum billable hours with minimum actual value. I wanted to do work that mattered. He started undermining me, assigning me to smaller clients, excluding me from partner meetings, making comments in front of others about my lack of business acumen. The final straw came during annual reviews. I'd brought in 3 major clients that year, $12 million in revenue. Every single client had renewed and expanded their contracts. Unheard of retention rates. My review rating? Meets expectations. My raise? 2%. Richard's explanation? "Diana, you're a solid contributor, but you lack the strategic mindset for advancement. You're too focused on client happiness instead of firm profitability." I walked out of that meeting and made a decision. That night, I called Helen Wu. She was an executive coach I'd met at a conference, and she'd become a friend. I told her everything. "Diana, you're describing a toxic environment. Why are you staying?" "The non-compete. If I leave, I can't consult in Washington for 2 years. I'd have to change careers or move, and I can't uproot my kids." "Have you actually read your non-compete clause recently?" "It's pretty standard. 2 years, Washington State, consulting services." "Read it again. Specifically, read the termination conditions." I pulled out my employment contract that night and read every word. And there it was, buried in Section 7, Paragraph 3. Non-compete provisions are void if employee is terminated without cause or if employee resigns due to material breach of employment terms. Material breach of employment terms. I'd been assigned to projects below my level. My compensation hadn't reflected my performance. Richard had systematically undermined my career progression. That was material breach. I spent the next 3 weeks documenting everything. Every email where Richard reassigned my clients. Every performance review showing excellent results but minimal raises. Every instance of promised advancement that never materialized. Then I drafted my resignation letter. I scheduled a meeting with Richard for a Friday afternoon. He probably thought I was going to apologize for being difficult. I walked into his office carrying a folder. He didn't even look up from his computer. "Diana, make it quick. I have a golf tee time." I slid the folder across his desk. "This is my resignation. I'm leaving Premier Consulting Partners effective immediately." That got his attention. He opened the folder and skimmed the letter. Then he started laughing, actually laughing. "You're quitting? Diana, do you understand what you just did? You're under a non-compete. You can't consult anywhere in Washington for 2 years. You just ended your career." "Actually, Richard, I've documented 3 years of material breach of my employment contract. That voids the non-compete." His smile disappeared. "That's not how it works." "That's exactly how it works. Section 7, Paragraph 3. I had an attorney review it. You've systematically undermined my career, assigned me below my qualification level, and failed to compensate me appropriately despite consistent, excellent performance. That's material breach." He leaned back in his chair. "You think you're clever. You're not. Good luck finding clients. Everyone knows you worked for Premier. No company will hire you when they realize you're suing your former employer." "I'm not suing anyone. I'm simply exercising my right to consult independently, and I already have my first client." That was a bluff. I didn't have anyone lined up yet, but I knew who I wanted to call. Richard's expression turned mean. "Let me be very clear, Diana. You walk out that door, and I will make it my personal mission to destroy whatever pathetic consulting practice you try to build. I have connections. I have influence. You have nothing." "We'll see." I walked out. By the time I got to my car, my hands were shaking. Not from fear, from adrenaline. I'd just quit the only job I'd had for 14 years. I had 2 kids depending on me. No backup plan, no safety net. I sat in the parking lot and made a phone call. "Thomas Green's office." "Hi, this is Diana Foster. Is Thomas available? Tell him it's important." 2 minutes later, Thomas was on the line. "Diana, how are you? How's the corporate world treating you?" "I quit, Thomas. As of today, I'm an independent consultant, and I'm calling because I'd like to finish the work we started at Green Industries." Silence. Then, "You're serious?" "Completely. You said your company needed sustainability implementation. I can do that now. No interference, no corporate policies, just results." "What about your non-compete?" "Voided. I documented material breach. I'm free to work independently." More silence. I could hear him thinking. "Diana, how soon can you start?" "Monday?" "Come to my office. Let's talk numbers." That Monday, I sat across from Thomas in his office. I brought a proposal I'd drafted over the weekend, the sustainability implementation plan Richard had canceled, plus additional strategic initiatives. Thomas reviewed it carefully. "This is comprehensive. What's your rate?" $200 an hour, estimated 400 hours over 3 months, 80,000 total. He closed the folder and looked at me. Diana, I'm not interested in hiring you for 3 months. My heart sank. I'm interested in hiring you for 3 years. I want you as my permanent strategic advisor, not just finishing the transformation, but staying on to help us scale. What would that cost? I hadn't expected this. Thomas, a 3-year advisory contract would be substantial. I'd need to structure it differently. Retainer plus performance bonuses. Draft a proposal. But Diana, I'll tell you right now, whatever you propose, I'm probably going to accept it. You saved my company once. I want you to help me grow it. I spent that evening running numbers. A 3-year contract. Monthly retainer of $15,000 plus performance bonuses tied to revenue growth and profitability targets. Total contract value, potentially $8 million over 3 years. It was more money than I'd made in my entire career at Premier. I sent the proposal to Thomas on Wednesday. He accepted it Thursday morning. When can you start? I'm already working on your growth strategy. I'll have preliminary recommendations by next Monday. Perfect. I'll have legal draft the contract. I hung up and just sat there for a moment. I'd done it. I had a client, a major client, a contract that would secure my kid's future and prove that Richard Caldwell was completely, utterly wrong about me. Then my phone rang. It was Julia Reed, a former colleague at Premier. Diana, what did you do? Richard is losing his mind. He just found out you signed Thomas Green. How did he find out? Thomas called Premier this morning and formally ended their consulting relationship. Said he's working with you now exclusively. Richard is threatening legal action. He can't do anything. My non-compete is void. He's claiming you stole proprietary client information. I used nothing from Premier. Everything I'm doing for Thomas is new work based on my expertise, not Premier's intellectual property. You should probably get a lawyer anyway. She was right. I called Helen Wu and asked for a referral to an employment attorney. By Friday, I had legal representation. Richard sent a cease and desist letter claiming I'd violated my non-compete and stolen client relationships. My attorney sent a response that was essentially a legal version of "try me." Richard didn't have a case and he knew it, but he had ego, and ego makes people do stupid things. The next month was a whirlwind. I worked with Thomas on Green Industries' growth strategy. The results were immediate and impressive. We identified 3 new market segments. We streamlined their supply chain, cutting costs by another 15%. We implemented a talent development program that reduced turnover by 40%. Within 60 days, Green Industries' quarterly revenue was up 18%. Their profit margin doubled. Thomas was ecstatic. Diana, you're a miracle worker. Everyone on my executive team is asking if you have time to work with their departments. I have time. That's the beauty of working for myself. Then Thomas mentioned something interesting. I told my CEO network about you at our quarterly meeting. 3 of them want to talk to you about consulting. That's how it started. Within 3 months of leaving Premier, I had 4 clients. By month 6, I had 9, all through referrals, all paying premium rates because I delivered actual results, not just reports. My monthly revenue exceeded what I'd made annually at Premier. I hired an assistant, then a junior consultant, then another. I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. Meanwhile, Premier was struggling. Losing Thomas Green was just the beginning. 2 other major clients left, both citing dissatisfaction with Richard's focus on billing over outcomes. Julia called me with updates. Diana, the partners are furious with Richard. He's bleeding clients. Some of them are asking if you'd consider coming back. Not a chance. What if they fired Richard? Still no. I'm not going back to corporate consulting. I like working for myself. 8 months after I left, I got an email from Richard's personal address, not his work email. Subject line, conversation? The message was short. Diana, I'd like to speak with you privately. Would you be available for coffee this week? I almost deleted it, but curiosity won. We met at a neutral cafe. Richard looked different, tired, less arrogant. He didn't waste time on pleasantries. I'm leaving Premier. Fired or resigning? Resigning before they can fire me. The partners made it clear my cost optimization strategy is destroying the firm's reputation. I could have told you that 3 years ago. He nodded slowly. You did. I didn't listen. I thought maximizing short-term profit was smart business. I was wrong. This was surreal. Richard Caldwell admitting he was wrong. Why are you telling me this? Because you were right. About client relationships, about long-term value, about everything. And I wanted you to hear me say it. Okay, you said it. Are we done? Diana, I'm not asking for forgiveness. I wanted you to know. You've built something impressive. 9 clients in 8 months. That's exceptional. 12 clients now, actually, and I'm being selective. I only take clients who value quality over quantity. He almost smiled. Almost. I deserved that. Yes, you did. We finished our coffee in silence. I left feeling oddly satisfied. Not because Richard apologized, that was meaningless, but because he had to watch me succeed on my own terms while his approach crumbled. 2 years later, my consulting practice is one of the most respected in the Pacific Northwest. I have 16 clients. My 2 junior consultants became senior consultants, and I hired 3 more junior people. We work on transformations that actually matter, companies that want real change, not just reports to show their boards. My kids are thriving. Emma's in high school now, talking about college. Lucas is playing competitive soccer. We took a real vacation last summer, 2 weeks in Italy. First time I hadn't worked through a vacation in 15 years. Thomas Green and I are still working together. Green Industries has tripled in size. They're expanding internationally. Thomas credits our strategic partnership with their success, and honestly, I'm proud of what we've built together. 6 of my current clients came from Thomas's network. Turns out, when you actually deliver results, CEOs talk. They refer. They trust you with their most critical challenges. Premier Consulting Partners? They're struggling. After Richard left, they tried to rebuild their reputation, but the damage was done. They lost several partners who left to start their own firms. Last I heard, they're considering selling. Richard landed at a mid-tier firm in California. Lower position, smaller clients. His LinkedIn is quiet. No more bragging about deals. No more arrogant posts about maximizing value. Julia left Premier 6 months after I did. She's working for one of my competitors now, and we still have coffee occasionally. She told me something interesting last time we met. Diana, you know what people say about you in the industry? They say you're the consultant who chose values over convenience and built an empire. You're kind of a legend. I don't know about legend, but I know this. I chose my integrity over a paycheck. I bet on myself when someone tried to convince me I was worthless without their company name behind me. And I won. Every single one of my clients knows they're working with me, Diana Foster, not some faceless corporate entity. They know I'll tell them the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. They know I'll deliver results, not excuses. That's worth more than any corporate title Richard could have given me. Richard Caldwell taught me something valuable, though I doubt he meant to. Your value isn't determined by someone else's opinion of you. It's determined by the results you deliver and the integrity you maintain. When he laughed at my resignation, he genuinely believed I was making a career-ending mistake. He thought the Premier name was what made me successful. He thought I needed him more than he needed me. He couldn't have been more wrong. Clients don't hire companies. They hire people. They hire expertise, trust, results. I had all 3. I just needed the courage to prove it without a corporate safety net. The non-compete clause was supposed to protect Premier from losing talent. Instead, it just delayed the inevitable. You can't trap competence with legal paperwork. If you're in a toxic work environment, being told you're not good enough, being held back by people who fear your potential, document everything. Understand your contracts, know your worth, And then, when you're ready, walk away. The scariest part isn't leaving, it's realizing you should have left sooner. Richard probably thought firing threats and intimidation would keep me in line. Instead, he gave me the motivation to build something better than anything I could have achieved under his leadership. My business card doesn't say, Senior Consultant at Premier Partners, anymore. It says, Diana Foster, Principal, Foster Strategic Advisors. And that means more than any title Richard Caldwell could have given me. Sometimes the best revenge is building something so successful that the person who doubted you has to watch it from the outside. And that's exactly what I did.